Good evening, please, and welcome to XTV News broadcast for Wednesday, November 20th, 2024. Making the headlines tonight: drugs, firearm, and suspected fake immigration documents found in major bust. Floodwaters beginning to affect Belize River Valley. The Honorable Shine attracts honorable viewership numbers, and Belize national football team is heading to Gold Cup prelims. We take our first break and return with the news in detail. And welcome back to XTV Evening News. On Monday afternoon, around 2, police conducted a search at an establishment, 00 on Western Avenue in Belize City. Reportedly, during the search, police discovered a 9mm pistol along with ammunition. Police also discovered 3 large plastic bags containing a green leafy substance suspected to be cannabis hidden in an oven. More suspected cannabis was found in the back seat of a Dodge Ram. In total, some 19 pounds of suspected cannabis was discovered. In the bedroom, police reportedly discovered 6 Chinese passports with 5 containing Belize visas. The stamps are reported to include PGIA departure stamp, permanent residency stamp, visitor permit, PGIA stamp, and one from the headquarters in Belmopan. Immigration authorities have determined that the Belize visas are fraudulent and are still investigating the authenticity of the stamps. 3 individuals were found on the premises and were escorted to the Raccoon Street Police Station pending charges. The investigation continues. Turning to weather-related news, the floodwaters have begun to affect the Belize River Valley as the excess water makes its way downstream. On Monday, the Belmopan Nemo coordinator, Santiago Acosta, said that the rising water has cut off Mo Tomorrow, Cayo, from the main road network. Supplies have been taken to residents in shelters, and on Monday, a drone was sent to assess the situation so that Nemo can plan accordingly.
Okay, so right now, our main hotspot right now is More Tomorrow. All right, yesterday we had to launch a team to go to More Tomorrow to take supplies to the people who heeded and took shelter. I must say, I think we made a very good effort in reaching out there the time we reached, because by the time the truck decided to come back, they almost couldn't make it out. So the water is rising, and the people in More Tomorrow, at some point this week, well, I don't want to say at some point, I think as of already, they're cut off from mainland coming out. What we did is that we took roughly about 3 to 4 days supplies for them, those at the shelter. And so we had another team went out this morning with the drone to take some pictures of how bad the situation really is. So that should be able to give us a better idea, and that would enable us to know what our response effort will be like for the rest of this week.
The water is also rising in Rancho Dolores in the Belize district, with waters already covering the bridge's roadway. This morning, Coast Guard officers assisted students and workers to cross in one of their vessels. Today, Creme News XTV spoke with a resident of Rancho Dolores, Belize district, Angie Smith-Tucker, who said that the village is getting prepared for the coming flood waters. Smith-Tucker said they learned from the 2020 and are prepared for what's to come.
We know that the water would have come from the time we hear that the Cayo district is under water. We know that readily that 3 to 4 days time the water will be here in Rancho Dolores. So for the villagers that live in the low-lying area, we start to prepare from then. I know in 2021 the water, we were flooded out. So we just make our necessary precaution, and we start to do whatever we were supposed to do in event that it reach all the way to our house again.
And how high the river there right now? I think it's reaching the bridge, but has it reached any houses yet?
Somebody just mentioned that it's on top of the bridge. You could only see the railing of the bridge. Where I live, I cannot gain access to there anymore. We live before the bridge. But they usually reach where we live, but for right now, we're still marked safe. We just got everything packed up in containers. The important thing we got, well, if it should reach here again, we just pick up what important and left, because we know whatever we left behind, it'll have to be a miracle for then they destroy. But we're prepared.
On Monday, Chief Engineer Evandale Moody said his ministry is monitoring the water levels in the valley and also keeping an eye on the Crooked Tree Causeway, as that area may also flood.
We are also monitoring the 2 bridge structures that are on the Crooked Tree Lagoon, because more than likely those 2 bridge structures will be inundated by floodwaters. But because of the intense work that we have done on the approach to Crooked Tree, we have significantly raised that access road. And so we don't expect that the residents of Crooked Tree will be locked off because of the works that we've done earlier. Of course, we still have to change those two bridge structures. We have to elevate those, and as soon as we could garner funds from the Ministry of Finance, we will try and do those bridge structures and then complete that section.
In entertainment news, the Honorable Shine, the Disney documentary on leader of the opposition Moses Shine Barrow, premiered on streaming service Hulu on Monday. The documentary has garnered honorable viewership numbers and has shot to #1 as the current most watched on the platform. Today, Barrow spoke on the documentary's success.
Well, it's the #1 film show on Hulu worldwide, so I'm extremely grateful for that. Thank you to everyone out there that has supported the Honorable Shine documentary to make it #1. So extremely grateful for the reception that we've gotten so far, especially in Belize. There are a lot of people that did not know the Shine story, and because I'm a political figure, the PUP has done an effective job. I think that's the only thing I could say they've done an effective job at in their tenure in this administration. But even before that, a narrative has been crafted about Shine Barrow that, as you can see in the documentary, for those of you that have seen it, whether hearing from my father himself, hearing from my mother, that I did not grow up with even a bronze spoon in my mouth and come from a single parent household, and everything that I have, I had to endure great suffering and sacrifice to get there. But from a political opponent's standpoint, that's not a story that they would want to tell, right? So I'm delighted that people have gotten to see the complete journey, whether you support me politically or not. I think this is a Belizean success story, a global success story, and so I'm happy that people at least get to see who I am and draw from that inspiration.
Barrow said that he agreed to do the documentary in order to tell his story to serve as inspiration and not solely due to its potential success.
I believe my story is the Belizean story. It's the human story. Everybody that we see is dealing with some type of struggle. Everybody faces wanting to give up, wanting to quit. Everybody faces uncertainty. Everybody faces when you feel like life to beat you, and you don't know how to overcome life. But I am not special. I just kept going. And so that is the message, especially to our youth, especially to the disenfranchised, the overlooked and undervalued. So we celebrate, human resilience in this documentary is the way I look at it. And I speculate maybe that's why the reception has been so positive, because everybody could relate to it, could look on it and say, man, yes. As far as the electorate, listen, we have to focus on policy, manifesto. It is a team effort. It is not as the United States, where it is Harris versus Trump, where it's people are voting nationally for one person. I do believe the team that I have has to keep doing the work. I believe they have the potential to deliver their seats, and certainly this can only help. This can only help this type of positivity, this type of disclosure as to many of the political myths, the political misconceptions. I think this removes many hurdles that we may have had because of the stigma, because of the dishonesty, just the exaggerations and distortions when it came to who Shine is, what is his motive, the why he there.
Moses Shine Barrow also spoke of the internal issues facing the UDP lately. Barrow addressed the recent situation at the Guardian newspaper and Wave Radio. He said that he's trying to reincorporate Alfonso Noble and Joe Bradley back into the fold.
Well, the status quo ante has been established by Justice Honora, which is that everything returns to the way it was until he makes a decision in the case, and that's overall everything, the Guardian, the Wave, everything, even our UDP letterhead, which I see is still being, unauthorizedly used by the Alliance.
But there have been significant personnel changes in terms of the way the organs are now being run.
It has been, to be clear, we're looking at the Joe Alfonso situation, because I'm here to bring the party together. I'm here to heal and here to reconcile, as long as people accept the status quo, accept who the leader is, who the leadership executive, the duly elected leadership executive is. So we're looking at how we can work with Joe Alfonso. So you hear that here first. So there has not been a termination letter sent. It was definitely something that was contemplated based on the outburst that Fonzo had and different things that they did, but we're looking to see how we can incorporate them into the new structures of the Guardian and Wave.
What about the other personnel who used to be around here, like Yellowman?
We haven't looked at that. Remember that happened before? That happened a while back, so we haven't looked at that. But as far as the Guardian and Wave, we're looking at how we can reintegrate Joe and Fonzo, but still keep the same diverse lineup. I think it has gotten a positive reception, having the party chairman, the deputy party chairman, Delroy, different people coming on different days. So we plan to continue that.
Barrow also commented on High Court Justice Tawanda Hondora's decision to grant an injunction following the forceful takeover of the UDP headquarters by the Alliance for Democracy, led by Honorable Tracy Panton. Barrow added that he feels confident the court will ultimately rule in his favor.
The decision was very scathing. I don't want I can't go into the judge's mind, but the decision was scathing when the judge gave his details, when he talks about why he denied the adjournment requests and how he felt that, according in his words, that it was a deliberate attempt to get an adjournment, which is why they came without lawyers. Then when he talks about denying Sheena's amicus petition, he talks about the fact that she wasn't amicus. She had a vested interest, and to try to mislead the court, he wasn't very appreciative of that, and he goes into why he feels that as an officer of the court she had a greater responsibility to be transparent. He's saying the same thing that we are saying, that they don't follow processes, they don't follow the Constitution, they want to outsmart everyone, they want to make it up as it is convenient to them, and you can't do that in a court of law, and you can't do that in the UDP. So I feel, you read the decision, the judge sees it for what it is. The judge even says hurricane season brought about repeated attempts to overthrow the leader. So when they try to say, oh, the judge was just talking about property, the judge is seized as to everything, because you can't make the application to the judge without telling the judge everything, the application that we initially wanted, which was the ex parte. So the judge has full understanding of all that is happening, and if he felt that they would have been irreparably damaged by returning things to the status quo, he could have made a decision to say, well, you know what, nobody going at the property, because this is not a normal property case.
In sporting news, it was a thrilling football game last night in French Guiana as Belize battled the home team to a 2-2 draw. For Belize, Christian Lopez and Carlos Bernardes both scored goals in the 48th and 52nd minute, respectively. Belize had previously defeated French Guiana 2-1 last Thursday in Belmopan. With last night's draw, the Belize national men's football team has concluded the 2024 CONCACAF Nations League competition undefeated, having secured 5 wins and 1 draw, which potentially gave the team gave the team a 5-0-1 record in the playing tournament, matching Belize's era code. Belize will now face Costa Rica, the #1 team in the region, in the CONCACAF Gold Cup preliminary competition. The date and time will be announced in the near future. After the break, San Ignacio looking to address flooding issue with new draining project.
Merry little Christmas. Christmas.
Evening news. On Friday, a fire in Valley of Peace broke out in the building that housed Tan's store. Reportedly destroyed in the fire were 2 firearms and some $50,000 in cash. The items destroyed totaled some $150,000. On Monday, ACB Gilberto Romero gave the media an update.
Upon the arrival, they saw a building completely engulfed in flames. Jing Tang reported he was at home when he saw smoke in the kitchen area. Thereafter, the building caught fire. Several items are damaged, including 2 firearms. An investigation is being carried out to try and determine the cause of the fire.
Those firearms were licensed?
Yeah, they were licensed firearms.
Does he have any suspicions of what might have caused it?
He saw smoke coming from the kitchen area, and then the fire engulfed the building from there.
Was he home alone?
There were other persons there, but he was home at the time.
Any injuries?
No injuries were reported.
Prime Minister of Belize, Honorable John Briceño, visited the affected areas of the Cayo district on Monday. The PM also flew over the affected areas to better assess the damages. The PM spoke of flooded farms, destroyed crops, and about the damages to infrastructure affecting both the government and residents. He said it will require lots of work to get things back to normal.
We went all the way to the Moyhon and seeing how the water is overflowing. Wherever you go, you just see lots of water flowing, and all of that water is coming into the Cayo district, onto the Belize district, and onto the sea. We saw also here by the Santander farms, lots of, probably a few hundred acres of sugar cane underwater. A lot of small farmers have been losing their crops at mile 7 and those other La Gracia, those small villages. We have a lot of our farmers that go agriculture. Vegetables. A lot of that is underwater. A lot of damage to infrastructure, to the main roads. Roads into the village streets have been damaged, water systems in some instances. So there's a lot of work ahead of us. But we just ask people to be out in the lookout. Thankfully it's not raining, because once it stops raining, they give us time for the water to flow out. So the Ministry of Infrastructure Development has been working closely with the area representatives and opening up bigger drains and putting bigger culverts that can manage the amount of water that we have. So it's a lot of loss, that's affecting not only the government but even individual people.
On Monday, Chief Engineer Evandale Moody told the media that the various Ministry of Infrastructure Development and Housing teams were ready before Tropical Storm Sarah. Mose said the teams were also strategically placed to be able to quickly respond to areas of concern. Mose spoke of the areas that needed attention during and immediately after the storm.
We were mobilized before the storm, and we were also there during the storm as well. And so we had most of the works to be done within the Cayo district. We had some works within the Stan Creek and Belize district as well, but most of the effects were felt in the Cayo district, with the flooding in the Mopan and Macau rivers. Initially, we had issues with some sections of the Hummingbird Highway, whereby we had some slippage at mile 29 on the Hummingbird Highway, which we had to mobilize the team immediately to do. However, that was easy for us because we had preliminary meetings before the storm arrived, whereby we mobilized our equipment to Middlesex and also to St. Margaret's. And so we didn't have to travel that far to get to the site of the slippage. Then we had mobilized teams in the Cayo district, whereby we had issues with respect to Bullet Tree Road, also the Salvador Fernandez Bridge, which we had to close Saturday night because of the fast rising of the Mopan River. We had some issues on the George Price Highway in terms of some minor slippage as well, which we had to address yesterday. And so we were more than likely readily prepared to activate everyone that was on standby to work during this storm.
Moody told the media that it's too early to assess the damage caused by Sarah.
To be honest, we would still need some more time to do that assessment because we are not sure to what extent like the Salvador Fernandez Bridge has been impacted because the water there is still rising. We have decided to close as well the Sokots village area, the George Price Highway within Sokots village because the Mopan River is rising over that section, but that is a section that we have under construction for the construction of a floodway. And so that should work well in our favor because it's already under construction. In terms of other assessment, we would still have to wait until we get through this week to determine an exact value of where we are in terms of financial assets that has been damaged. But for the most part, we tried to ensure that the main highways were open at all time, and that was evident for us because we did not have any closure that we had to do for any of our highways.
Last week, the Ministry of Infrastructure, Development and Housing reopened the Hawksworth Bridge, which connects the Twin Towns. Just before Tropical Storm Sarah hit, the approach to the bridge had developed potholes due to the heavy rains. This brought a lot of criticism from residents. Moody clarified the issue.
So with respect to the Hawksworth Bridge, as you may recall that we opened that bridge on Wednesday last week. And so on the previous Monday, what the ministry did was to do an overlay of premix on the approach because we wanted to have both bridge structures open for the Cairo district since we knew that this storm was coming. However, because of the intense rainfall, that premix that we placed was not cured properly, and that developed some potholes on the approach. And bear in mind, it's just the approach of the bridge, it's not the bridge itself. And so in an error of expediency, we tried to mobilize our team to concrete that section, even though we were going through the storm, because we did not want to hear that clatter of negative comments that we were hearing with respect to the works that were significantly done on the main bridge structure, which we believe the public should appreciate the works that we've done for the bridge structure rather than just clamoring over two potholes, right? So in an effort to eliminate that, we mobilized a team to go in and concrete that section, which is what we wanted to do before, but because we were trying to prepare for the hurricane and in an effort to have both bridges open for the public, we said, let's go ahead and use the flexible pavement, which did not help so much. And so we went in and corrected that immediately.
The mayor of San Ignacio and Santa Elena, Earl Trapp Jr., on Monday said his council is working on getting funding from the Green Climate Fund to begin working on a flood mitigation project. Mayor Trapp says that the feasibility study should be completed by early next year. He hopes the project can start not long after.
It's a project geared towards climate change, flood mitigation and climate change. It's through the Green Climate Fund or the 5Cs organization. This project, it's a grant-funded project. It's a lot of money involved in it, and I think that's one of the reasons why it takes so long. But right now we are through the feasibility study, and the feasibility study should be submitted by March, April of next year. And from what I understand, with the hope of that should be submitted for financing. So hopefully by June, if everything works well, we should see the fruition of the initiating part of financing that project.
In more infrastructure news, the Ministry of Infrastructure, Development and Housing is soon to commence roadworks on both entrances to Belize City. Chief Engineer Evandale Moody on Monday explained what the rehabilitation projects entail and why there has been a delay to commence.
We have two projects, one for the Philip Golson and also one for the George Price Highway. So for the Philip Golson Highway, we intend to hot mix overlay the section from Buttonwood Bay to the Flag of Vermont at the Sayview Junction. So that is a project that we expect to get signed, I believe, by next week. And so we'll be doing some intense works there as well to overlay that entire section of the highway going into Belize City. On the George Price Highway now, we have done some remedial works there. There's a little bit more that we're supposed to do. However, we have a project for the George Price Highway, which is to upgrade from Belmopan to Belize City. And the section from Belmopan to Hattieville is known as Section 3, and that is what we're waiting for to get approval as well from the Ministry of Finance so that we could alleviate the problem that we have in Belize City. Whatever the ministry is doing at this point in time is only a temporary measure because that is all that we could do with the funds that we have allocated within our budget. So we're definitely waiting for the larger project. Once we could get approval from the Ministry of Finance to implement that and try and solve that problem once and for all.
After the break, Belize's ombudsman becomes first Belizean to be appointed to Regional Ombudsman Association. Stay tuned.
For 50
Annual General Meeting of the Caribbean Ombudsman Association, Belize's Ombudsman, Honorable Retired Major H. Gilbert Swazo, was appointed as a board member of the Executive Board of Karura. This is the first time a Belizean has been appointed to such a position. He said it is an honor and explained what the role entails.
So the appointment onto Karura board will then mean then that the responsibility shifted a bit, where that instead of just looking at Belize, so being a member of the board, we now have the responsibility to ensure that all member states of CARICOM and the small island states, we now will have to look at that from a larger perspective to ensure that we strengthen the office of the ombudsman within the respective jurisdictions, and also to ensure that fairness, justice, and human rights prevail in a uniform, almost standardized way based on the realities of the respective countries. So it is indeed an honor, and I'm very humbled to be elected to that position. So it gives me a responsibility for us to then learn and share for the interests of the citizens of the respective jurisdictions.
In health news, World AIDS Day is December 1. However, the personnel at the Corozal Community Hospital is already busy spreading valuable information on HIV. Earlier today, Rafael Castillo, the Community Engagement Officer in the HIV Tuberculosis Program at the Corozal Community Hospital, shared what they have planned in the days leading up to World AIDS Day.
The Corozal District as a whole, we have a whole calendar of activities scheduled that lead up to World AIDS Day. So we started actually on the 9th of November, where we did outreach testing to the BDF training camp here in Corozal. We also have other activities that includes the school. Tomorrow we'll be going to Sartaneja to do outreach testing in that community. And on the 22nd, we are going to be going to Corozal Junior College to be offering health education and testing services to students. And then we have outreach testing at the border next week, where we target different businesses and government departments. And all of this will culminate with the celebration of a candlelight vigil on December 1st. And the second is the Mondays, where we'll be celebrating the World AIDS Day activities out by the market here in Corozal Town.
Castillo explained that one of their major goals is to dispel misconceptions that people have concerning HIV and testing.
Well, the most common thing I observe is that there are a lot of myths and misinformation regarding HIV. You know, when it comes to testing, for example, some people still believe that blood is withdrawn from the vein, you know, to do the tests. Our rapid tests, we explain to them, are done with a finger prick. It's just like checking your glucose level. Other misconceptions, some people believe that, for example, only if you're cheating, you should do an HIV test. Or this is misinformation. What we're trying to promote is the advantages of taking a test. You might not be a high-risk person for contracting HIV, but if you are a low-risk person, you test, you are not detected, not infected, then you can make better decisions. You can make informed decisions when it comes to your sexual life, as compared to someone who has a high risk, who, knowing that they're infected, can also practice, or adjust their sex life so that they can prevent forward transmission of the illness. So we're trying to get rid of that misinformation that the test is only for a specific person.
There's a little known fact that there is a Garden of Eden in Belize, located in Santa Elena, Cayo. No, it may not be the garden you're thinking about, but to the students of Eden SDA preschool and primary school, their school garden is nothing short of magical. School Principal Sharon Carr Lopez spoke of what the students have been able to plant and harvest and how accomplished they feel seeing their hard work result in bringing funds to help their school.
We started the school garden last year and we've been reaping crops ever since. So I want to show you these because they look very nice, right? They're fat and rosy, and we're planning to taste some with some pepper right now, so some salt and pepper. We've been harvesting this. We've also been harvesting tomatoes, cilantro. We're going to also get jalapenos in a few weeks from now. So we're planning to make some stuffed jalapenos to see how those taste. We have planted corn. We just got some sweet potatoes. And there are several others. Oh, we did harvest radish on Friday. So there are several vegetables that we're planting. We do have lettuce in the ground right now, so we're waiting for those to come up so that we can eat them as well, all right? And it's important to know the first time we harvest for this year, we harvest cilantro. And the kids sold those cilantro. Now we know cilantro is going for about $20 a pound. And they sold it for $15 a pound. So they were so excited about their cilantros. Now, remember, we're here for the community. So if we want to help them to understand that, yes, they might be planting, they're reaping, but they can give it a little bit less so that other people can benefit from their vegetables as well, then it's good. So that's why they were selling it for $15 a pound. But they were excited to see that what they did was producing money.
Principal Carl Lopez said that they have begun to use the school's produce as part of their feeding program.
We just started using some in the feeding program last 2 weeks when we harvest the one for the cilantro. So yes, they're being used in the feeding program. Ministry has donated several vegetables, and those that they have donated, those are the ones that we're using freely in the garden. But of course in the kitchen, but of course we buy our own seedlings as well and our own seeds. So those, yes, we have to sell because we want to generate an income for that section.
And many Belizeans tuned in to the Miss Universe 2024 pageant final with bated breath this past Saturday. Unfortunately though, she was not called as part of the top 30 semi-finalists. Still, Halima said she was confident on stage and knows she gave her all. When asked about how it felt to be on the grand stage, she said most of the experience was like a blur.
You hear the name called, but aside from that, everything else goes blank. But to be very honest, I felt comfortable on stage, and I think that the Belizean audience who were supporting me and watching were able to see that. I believe, like, after participating in Miss Universe Belize and after being with the girls and with having the interview with the judges and also working with the production team over the past 2.5 weeks that I was there, by the time we went on stage, it felt like just another practice. But every time I practiced, I made sure it was like I was on stage for pageant night. You know, I made sure I gave it my all so that I don't feel like out of place whenever I get to the big stage. In the beginning, it hurt, of course, naturally. If you really care about something and you put 100% into it, there's a lot of emotions that goes along with that, right? So like after hearing that I wasn't placed, me and a couple other girls were pretty heartbroken, and we expressed our sympathies to each other behind the stage. But when you think about it, you know, I have an incredible life, I have an incredible support system, and I had an incredible journey. And if you're a positive person like I am, you take the best out of every situation. And everything that I learned is gonna be able to be passed on to the next queen, and she's gonna be even stronger than I am. And I believe that consistency is a huge part of pageantry. Every year you need to send a strong delegate in order to get recognized. Naturally, the bigger countries already have that recognition. Their girls go every year and they kill it every year. So sending one girl every 2 years isn't gonna cut it. You have to be consistent. And I believe that our organization, they're the perfect group to do this and to achieve this goal for Belize.
Halima spoke of the support from Belizeans and, as someone from Belize City's south side, said she hopes others from her area could also be given a chance to shine.
I'm smiling because it gets me emotional to think about how many people supported me and sent me a beautiful message and they told me I was already a winner. And I think they didn't know that really helped me after the pageant to read those comments and those messages that said, you're already a winner in our eyes. That was even before I performed. Belizean people, we're very progressive. We're a little country, we're young, but we do have this progressive mindset and we do believe in our people. We believe that we have the potential to go out on the international stage or any international platform, and we have the ability to compete head to head with people from bigger countries. And I saw that, and I saw the joy, the pride of our nation, and I'm so proud of being Belizean. I will, if I could do it again, I would do it again for the Belizean people who had their hopes and their dreams in me. And of course, the little girls who want to be Miss Universe Belize one day, who are watching my journey. For now, I think I've said this time and time again, for someone like me who came from Jane Usher Boulevard on the south side of Belize, we always hear Jane Usher on the wrong side of the news. And I just want to mention that I'm from that area because I want people to know that there's a lot of good in Jane Usher. There's a lot of good in the south side of Belize. We need to really tap into our human resources in order to maximize our efforts in Belize. And the south side is a perfect place to start. Growing up, there was a lot of incredible and talented people that I looked up to in Southside. And I just want people to know that, don't turn a blind eye to us because we are here and we want to get our chance to shine our light to the world.
Halima also spoke of the huge support from her husband, Hyde Jr.
I think that speaks for itself. He has given an interview with you. He has been posting and sharing everything that he can. He shares the emotions that I share. He saw me and he immediately opened his arms because he knew what was coming. My husband has been such an incredible support to be the first husband of a Miss Universe Belize. He set the bar really high. And I encourage women who are married, women who are in relationships, who have children to pursue this dream now that the platform is open for them. But you have to have a solid support system. And Mr. Hoy is the perfect example of that. He really set the bar high and he really made everybody know that he was proud of me. And I'm grateful for that.
And with that, we've come to the end of our newscast. A repeat can be viewed on this station later tonight at 9 and again Thursday at midday. Join us again Thursday for another news broadcast. I'm Mose. Have a safe and enjoyable evening.